Here we go. All right. Hi, everyone. This is the Package Group Weekly Retro for the 22nd of November, 2019. And we have tried a slightly different format with this one, just because we have someone in APAC. And so what we did is we had an APAC version of this yesterday. So those items are actually in here. And I'm only calling that out because Steve's at the top of the list. If you want to read those, Steve, then that would be cool. And maybe just go over GG's as well. Sound good?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, so what went not so well? The final Conan MR is still lingering, although actually this morning it was approved, so it will go into maintainer review now. So hopefully that'll get going again. And then also just finding out that the auto deploy updates are broken and sometimes skipping verification altogether. So I've had a couple MRs that I've noticed that have gotten all the way to production without me actually testing it first on staging or anywhere else, which is not the greatest. And then one new thing that's occurred over the last evening is my house is cold because my furnace is out. So that's not fun. For GG, merge requests process is still very slow, even for small MRs. I'm adjusting my expectations to allow 1 week for review and another week for maintainer review. And then I commented that I agreed. I've experienced that timeline as well for pretty much any non-trivial change. It looks like Dan and David have a few notes if you wanted to share any of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I've spoken with Christopher about this issue of sort of trying to actually develop metrics around the time something spends in review. Anecdotally, I've heard from lots of people that it's significantly longer than the 24 hours that is allegedly our average. And even for very small things, it tends to be multiple days. So we're trying to dig into why that is, and to do that, we kind of need some metrics. So, David.
Yes, so linking what we discussed on our sync meeting on Monday, if there is 2 weeks for review and 1 week for production deployment, so we have to submit all our MRs for the current milestone on the first week, otherwise it will be missed deliverable. It's so scary that no one wants to comment that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this is problematic. I'm going to escalate this some more. Thanks, Dan. Action item, escalate more. But I have the next item, so I'm going to. Cool. I'm just going to make a note for myself. Thanks for that. Does anyone else have any comments on this before we move on? Sorry. Nope. Yeah, so we've identified, sorry, Ian, did you want to make a comment? Cool. We've identified a bit of a gray area in our process where someone needs help from another area of expertise in the team, i.e. front end needs Rails support or Golang needs Rails support. Have to figure out a way to solve this problem. Right now, the idea is to have engineers ask for help, but we're thinking about having a label for internal team support. And when I say we, I was kind of an idea I had floating around, and I was chatting with Nathan about it, and you know, it hasn't really got beyond that because we haven't had a chance. Mr. Collie is so cute. Puppy dog, sorry. Hey, Nico, can you talk so everyone can enjoy the puppy dog?
Yeah, here he goes.
What went well this week? All right, yeah, so we just need to work out a way to do this. With a new model that we're looking to pursue in 12.6, where people can sort of pick up whatever, I feel like this shouldn't be a blocking issue for people. It should be something we can ask for help on, but I think I'm happy to investigate or other approaches here that people want to consider. So I probably need to have an internal issue around this. But did we create that, Nathan?
Not yet. I was meaning to sometime today. We'll see if I get to it.
Cool. I'll add an action item for you. Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, so we could take maybe that conversation there but definitely appreciate people's thoughts on it. So does anyone want to respond to this at all?
Yeah, I'll try to respond. I'm not good at typing and thinking at the same time, which is strange for a coder. But I think the idea with a label for internal help, I worry that would be like the bystander effect. Like, if it's like internal help, like Rails, then every Rail engineer will see that come in and be like, oh, one of the other guys, one of the other people will get it. And so I wonder how to address that.
Yeah, it's a good call out, Haley. Nathan and I had discussed that real briefly, but the thought I had was maybe we sort of say, hey, priority planning or planning priority label takes priority first. And then the kind of way we were working was, hey, then pick up whatever. Maybe we say planning priority comes first and then, internal support comes second and then pick up whatever. I don't know whether that makes sense. I don't want to have that label on everything. It would be like two things right now. So I do want to give people the ability to select what they want because that's part of this model here and it's supposed to help increase throughput and give people that sense of like getting through work and delivering value and all that sort of stuff. So I don't want to remove that by having processes that kind of defeat the purpose. So great call out. And then we'll add Nathan's going to create the issue later and we can maybe discuss it a bit more in there. Does that sound okay to people? Sweet, thank you. Ian.
So for what went not so well this week, I did design feedback on the new vision designs that we did. And I did it through a couple of different sources and mediums, and I didn't really consider how I was going to capture all that feedback. So I ended up creating an additional kind of synthesis step to bring everyone's feedback together. Next time I'll know what's coming, so it's a little easier, but caught me off guard. And then we did run into a little bit of a hiccup. We're doing solution validation on these designs, and I was hoping to get the interviews started end of next week, but with the holidays and some out of office scheduling, might be a little delayed. It looks like everything will still happen within the milestone, but just a little bit of a hiccup to kind of slow things down. Nico?
Yeah, so yet another issue blocked both by backend and UI. Likely this time, and with UI I mean like shared UI component, like GitLab UI. Likely this time there was nobody assigned to this task, so I could invest my time in unblocking myself. But still, it starts to become a pattern that worries me a bit. And I think the next is Nathan.
Yeah, my point is almost exactly what Dan mentioned. And Nico, what he just mentioned, how do we deal with cross-functional dependencies? So we kind of already discussed, we can open that issue, we can discuss further how to solve that. And related to my interim status, it's been hard for me to balance package-related stuff with release IC work. Like it's hard to know how to prioritize the two, which is, I guess, kind of understandable. Not a big deal though. And also just, I'm having a hard time personally adjusting to our new self-serve philosophy. Kind of every instinct I have from my release team is kind of wrong. So I'm just kind of relearning how to do that, but that's just a learning for me. So I think it'll be, I think it'll improve over time. On to Haley.
Right. So I was looking into like Prometheus and like adding like maybe a route to like we can inspect the like container registry version that's running in different environments. And then I thought, I just asked in production and they're like, oh, you do it this way. And there's like a dashboard in Grafana and everything, and it's super easy. And so I was like, I forgot that people can help me for about a couple hours there. So that wasn't so great.
All right, now we're over to what went well. So this week has been great. I've been feeling like I'm in a completely new workflow and state of mind now that I haven't been working on Conan every day. because I've been working on multiple things at once, and I feel like I have time to participate in other conversations, and just not worry about having to sort of work extra to be able to do those things, which has been very nice. I'll read Gigi's. So Gigi says, I'm almost done with leftovers from 12.5 and should be able to move to 12.6 by next week. Over to Dan.
Oh, and I realized my mic was still on. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, our second Go engineer has signed all the contracts and everything is good. And this person will be starting in early December. Get exact dates. Gigi had a question about hiring any more than that, and not this financial year, but FY21, there will be a bunch of hiring and changes. I'm not going to speak too much about it on the public video, although the information is pretty public, but I've linked to a document here that you can all check out if you're curious, and I'll leave it at that. And then that was very exciting. I'm happy about that, although my tone of voice didn't suggest that I was, but woohoo! Sorry. And then we're having our best month ever in terms of throughput. Like, it's awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks for working really hard, and thanks for working with all of each other and making that happen. It's really cool. So thank you very much. Over to Ian.
First big designs went through and passing all the gut checks, which is really exciting. Usually when I do a design review, there's one major thing I'm looking for the first time, which is it seriously wrong and no one's happy with it? Because that usually means I missed something core. Didn't happen. Everything went through. It felt really nice. We got a ton of feedback from a lot of different sources in terms of design feedback and product feedback and team feedback. And it was really great to get so many perspectives on it, so that it feels really good to move forward. And then I think this week we tried the new feedback cycle, and this is just, I want to reverberate something that's happened a lot in our team. We do a great job, I think, of trying something new and providing feedback and changing on it, and seeing the whole process and everyone kind of jump in and get involved, and everyone seems to have the same like proactive goal into making the best products we can. So it feels really good to be part of that. Over to Nico.
Sorry, microphone got lost. So I made my first MR to GitLab UI, and this is with a brand new component, and I'm very happy about it, especially because it will help refactor a lot of old code. The code that this component is intended to replace is like spread across 27 different files. So I hope it can help a lot other people as well. I liked a lot the last Think Big session. Even though I left a lot of feedback, I really enjoyed it. And what went well is also the sync meetings with Steve. I feel like that in 20 minutes we get so much done. We got so much done and so much strategy laid down for the work against the retention policy. And it left me with a very good feeling. And over to Nick.
He's not on the call, so would you mind reading for him, please, Nico?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Nick says that he had a bunch of MR merge are ready for 12.6. Yay. And so this time, David, which is here.
Yes, I'm here. So I'm finally seeing the end of my work on this giant MR I'm working on, which is the NPM tags and dependency support. So I split the giant MR in two, and it's way easier to manage now. And on to Heli.
So I got 4 merge requests in this week, which feels pretty good. And on to Tim, if he's here.
Yeah, thank you. I really enjoy going through there's an Udemy course on getting started with GitLab CI/CD. So I've been going through that and actually have deployed an application and built tests and everything. So I got to a much better sense of how the runner works and how deployments work and things like that. And also some of the pain points. Downloading the node image takes like 10 minutes for every time the pipeline builds. So I was like, we need that dependency proxy. So that was really cool. I'm going through and still improving it, but I'd love to maybe demo that in one of our team meetings. And then the iteration office hours with Sid were really cool, and I was able to take a lot of the suggestions that he had around driving community contributions and adding that to our documentation and make those changes. And I'm working with our community evangelists, I'm not sure what the word is, our community advocates, to help drive those as well. So something we'll be doing is like setting up office hours potentially in the future and things like that. So that was really cool. That's everyone, I think.
Awesome. Does anyone want to, we've got a few minutes left if people want to discuss any item in particular here we feel like we didn't discuss entirely. And if not, we can stop recording and maybe just have a bit of a chat, say hello, ask questions, hang out.
One question. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Nico.
No, go, Nathan.
One quick question about that issue. Where should I create that? Is it in the package group project that we have?
Yeah, we can link you to it.
That'd be great.
I can link you to it, or anyone can, really. We all have access. If you don't, we'll make sure you get it. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have one question, observation around the review times. So at least on the front end side, we experience the same long maintainer review time because there's few maintainer versus a lot of engineer. But peer review seems to be a bit quicker. So I don't know if it's just because like how the different two fields of engineering are, or maybe because backenders are more focused on a single part. So maybe selecting somebody that already work on the piece may have strict, well-formed idea about what they're reviewing, or is this always the case? It feels strange that this peer review is so long.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been through a few of these scenarios, and I've certainly been sort of promoting the idea of having people do internal reviews first. And that means like reaching out to Gigi or Steve or David and like saying, hey, I need a review on this. Could you just give it a once over for me? And I'm not, the idea there is to just ask someone who actually understands the code. Unfortunately, the way it works for us is the domain experts were never really in the team. So we've been trying to build up a domain expertise that helps people get through reviews more quickly. And because those domain experts are someone like Camille or Gijigor sometimes helps, or other people who get involved who are pretty senior, what can happen is you have these ideas that you think will work well, and that person comes in who's very senior and is like huge expertise, and those people are the domain experts. You end up with these pretty significant reviews and potential changes. I know Steve went through that a bit with Conan. So the idea is as we start gaining more experience in the code base, we'll be able to provide better reviews internally with people who then have domain expertise in that code area. But we don't really have that right now. And that's kind of my summary of what I've heard from Steve and Gigi. I don't know if you want to speak to that at all, Steve, but it's certainly the plan, Nico, to help get people to help each other internally.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, I've had a mix. Sometimes it's the maintainer review that takes a long time. Sometimes it's the first review. Like for example, if I do pick a domain expert for the first review, then that generally takes longer than if I had just picked the roulette person. But the feedback I get is generally much better because it's very specific to the functionality and not just, checking up on syntax and making sure everything looks right. And I've also talked to Dan and a few other people about, instead of picking the first roulette reviewer for doing reviews within our team, we should start to pick each other now that we've gained that initial set of experience and can be able to pipe in with better suggestions and domain expertise.
Yeah, it's a good call out, Nico. It's certainly something we're trying to improve on. And, Steve, we've all discussed it a lot. So maybe we haven't surfaced those discussions enough to give people a sense that we're trying to deal with it.
I'm curious, Nathan, from your experience on the other teams, is it common for like that first review before the maintainer review to be someone within the team, or do most people just go with the roulette?
I think it can go either way. I use roulette pretty much for everything. The only time I don't use it is if it's something that I know specifically that someone is used to or like has worked on recently, and they might be able to provide a better review. So I think it's a mix, but I know personally I mostly use the reviewer, the roulette.
Cool. Yeah, all right. Do you have any other follow-up questions or thoughts? Anyone? Or does anyone have any?
I just had a quick question. So one thing with the process, just a process-related question, we were only putting certain things into the milestone, and then it came up that like as people pick things up, they're adding the 12.6 milestone. I'm wondering how that process is working for people. I guess does that make sense? Is that the best way to do it? Because I think, Dan, you had some questions about like, wait, now the milestone looks confusing. I mentioned that we could use the planning priority labels. So I was just wondering if you had any additional thoughts on that thread, because I don't think we continued that conversation.
Yeah, I think my concern was when I went and looked at our current at 12.6, it's got more in it than 12.5 ever had, I think. And I think that was, and we had a chat about it, and it looked like what happened was as stuff that was in progress got moved over, which it should have been, we ended up with a lot of things in 12.5 that are at least partially complete. Excuse me, in 12.6 that are partially complete. I'm expecting those get cleared out, but I think my concern there is if anything isn't actively being worked on, it shouldn't end up in 12.6 without you making a planning priority out of it, Tim, because I think that's an important distinction. And that means trading off and deciding what you want to continue working on, what you don't from a product perspective. Everything else can go back into package active and ready for development. That's the label, I think. Yeah, so I think maybe we should discuss this elsewhere, but does that answer your question? I feel like maybe if you're not clear that this hadn't been communicated effectively.
No, I think it does. I'm just checking in. I want to make sure that it's working. You know, it's our first time doing it, so I just want to make sure it's working for everyone. It makes sense. Not that I had a problem.
Yeah, I think when people pick up new work, they could add the label, but add the milestone. But I'm concerned if we start adding the milestone to stuff that's going to take more than one milestone, then we're just going to always have stuff that's overflowing into the next milestone. And so I don't know how to manage that exactly, particularly with the concerns that people have about how long a review takes, because you could complete it in week 2 of our milestone and then not have it appear until the next milestone, right? Which means our release post process gets totally delayed and stuff actually doesn't get released. So I think there's a bunch of things we have to like work out. So yeah, this is unknowns. Go ahead, Nico, sorry.
No, I was just unmuted. Should we like put the milestone in the issue when we close it because we verified it on production? Simple as that, and we will have a clear track of what is released in that milestone. As part of, we need to go manually and close the issue. We can assign the milestone at the same time instead of assigning when we pick it up as we are doing now.
I think for things we randomly, things that we pick up from package active, I think that's probably a good approach, because then we're not making, unless you want to make a commitment, which is, I encourage making specific commitments around the work we're doing. But I understand that sometimes this is not in your control if a review is taking forever. So I'm good with that idea. So if people feel like that's a better fit for their actual workflow, then I'm good with that. But we should try to document that somewhere so that it's clear that that's our process. Maybe if someone wants to take on updating the handbook and just sort of adding that to our team page. Question mark.
I think there might be something. I feel like the bot automatically adds milestones at some point, but I'm not sure where. So we want to be aware of that. I don't know when that happens, but I feel like I've seen that happen before, where the bot will just be like, this doesn't have a milestone, I'm assigning it to this, which might just be when there's a merge request in progress or something, but we should find that out before we.
Yeah, would you mind figuring out where that is, Steve? And then we can, if there's an automatic process for work that's beyond in dev or whatever, then I'm happy to just leave it with the automatic process, because if that's what the workflow is for the company, then I'm happy to stick with that. Do you mind doing that?
Yeah, I can check that out.
Cool. All right. Anything else? We're like coming up right on the. Thanks for the question, Tim. That's awesome. I appreciate you bringing that up. I'd forgotten to raise that, so thank you.
No problem.
Cool. Well, happy Friday, ? And I hope people enjoy their weekends if they choose to. And bye-bye to everyone out there in internet land. Bye.
Bye.